we have here is a 2000 Town and Country with the classic bad starter contacts. What we're going to do is replace the contacts only in this Caravan Town and Country. It's a 3.3 liter flex fuel with a Nippon Denso starter, and the contact kit is available for this car, so you can replace the contacts only. The starter's down there below the exhaust manifold, so we're going to pull the starter out and take it apart and replace the contacts. The replacement parts kit we got from a place in Chicago, and that's a commonly available kit which shows the plunger and the contacts. So we'll get started here. Okay, first thing you want to do is make sure the car is secure. You do this by whatever means you know how, with jack stands, but you want to raise the car up in the front so that you can get to the starter. First thing is in order to get to the upper portion, the upper bolts, you got to take this off here, which is an 8mm hose clamp to remove this air cleaner. You're gonna it involves removing this hose clamp here, and then this hose clamp down in here, and then these two bolts, and this disconnecting it from the fuel injection control unit here, the air intake unit here. And you got the EGR hose you got to disconnect, and then you pull this booty off here. Take this piece out, set it down. Now you have better access to the starter bolts, which are right behind that manifold shield. The upper bulge is visible. Just barely visible. You have to get an extension to get to it. Right down in here. We're going to disconnect the negative battery terminal because we're messing with the positive on the starter, positive terminal on the starter. So disconnect that and push it out of the way so it doesn't accidentally connect. And then they say in the book to wait 5 minutes before you do anything. So we're going to do that. Okay, first thing we're going to do is spray some stuff on the connections for the battery. Then we'll take our socket, unscrew that nut right there, take that off. Electrical connection for the battery. That's a 13mm. and that comes right off like that. And there's a release pin on this, which I'm going to have to use two hands, so I'll have to come back. Okay, here's a little trick that to disconnect this one pin connector here. There's a red release mechanism on the connector, and I've got it disconnected already, and you have to move the red part up to release it, but that's not the whole of it. Now I'm going to change it here. Using the screwdriver, you move that up. Okay, once you've moved it up, it should be so that you can disconnect it easily. But I found that you have to actually take your little screwdriver and you have to pry gently on the black part that releases it, because an old car, it still doesn't want to release. So I had to stick the screwdriver, short screwdriver, right in here, right there, and carefully lift the pin, lift the clip, so that I could pull it off. And if you look straight in the end of the connector, you can see, barely see that black part. So now I've got it released, it's ready to go back on. So that's a little trick. Okay, now for the bottom bolt. That's a 15 millimeter with a standard ratchet on it. Gotta get that off. That is a bolt. That's a 15 millimeter head on the bolt, which screws into the starter. It's a 2-bolt starter. Not enough clearance for anything except the socket. Pretty sure, I'm going to see if I can reach up in there with my hand and turn that. Because at one point that bolt's going to get long and you won't be able to get your wrench out of there without removing the starter. So I'm going to see if I can unscrew it by hand, which I am successfully doing. Can't really see probably very well at this point because my hand's in the way. Okay, so now I got the bolt out. You can see the bolt there. Alright, so now we'll move around to the top. This time we use a short extension on our 15 millimeter. See if we can get in there past the transmission dipstick. Go in kind of at an angle. It looks like I might have to go to the longer socket extension and put my ratchet way out here. Interesting to see if the camera picks this up. There's 2 bolts there. One is part of your motor mount, one is part of your starter upper bolt. Let's see if the flashlight shows. Yeah, there's 2 bolts there. I'm pretty sure you can see it now. So we want the lower one of the 2. So I'll go down in here where you won't be able to see, but the lower of the two bolts is the one I'm after. And I'll confirm that that's a 14 or 15. Yes, it is. So I'm going to loosen that one. And as they say, the starter will drop out of there like a bad tooth. So, as you can see, I'm running the ratchet. I've got that extension going on the lower of the two bolts, which actually the camera gets upside down, so you can't really tell up from down. But if you look down in there with the flashlight, again, you should be able to see that bolt loosened. They're the smaller of the two bolts. Loosened. Right here. So once that comes out, that starter should drop out of there. Okay, so what I got is my left hand holding on to the starter, which is between the fans and the manifold shield, and my right index finger and thumb is unscrewing that bolt by hand. Now I'm going to retrieve the bolt. There it is. Right there. So that is that part. Now we'll get back under the car, and there's should be a spacer that I have to retrieve. Okay, YouTube recording now under the car in the front. You can see we've got this connector disconnected, that single pin connector with the goop, and the release pin, which we talked about earlier. Here's the power from the battery, and here's the starter, nice and handy. And they say that you can do this starter rebuild in the car, but it just doesn't make any sense. So you pull with your right hand, pull the cable out of the way, and just drop that little Nippon Denso right out of there, just like that. And then you got to keep track of your spacer. You see your spacer right there hanging off the starter, and then there's an index pin, which kind of looks like a bolt, but it's not. So we're going to pull this out and rebuild this solenoid and contact. See, this is that spacer. So logic says you don't want to flip it around, so keep track of it. Put it back the same way it came off. So this is your starter solenoid and the contacts inside there. So we're going to take those two bolts out here.